let's resume the recording. And we'll click. On Facebook. So while I'm doing this, I'll Kara, did you receive the minutes that I sent out?
Yes, I did. You want me to go ahead?
Give me 1 second. Give it 2 more minutes. Apologies, bear with us as we go live and be able to broadcast to the world.
I'm gonna run downstairs, get a water.
Okay, sorry. So just reiterating, as I said before, now that we are recording and we're on Facebook Live, so welcome everybody. I plan on keeping this meeting extremely brief because I know you all are here to see Dee Morris talk about the power of the Zodiac. So what I'm going to do is, because of the difficulties with meeting in person and wanting to include everybody at this point, I'm going to broadcast our annual report for 2020 and the slate of officers and the budget and annual meeting minutes all up on our website, and have it available there for members to review and provide comments and feedback to the board until our December meeting, at which point we can take their comments into consideration and make final decisions and revisions to those documents. The meeting minutes will be reviewed here, and we'll put out the slate of officers where people can vote on them up until the end of the month. Does that sound good by everybody?
Yep.
All right, Kara, do you want to read the minutes just so we have them for the record?
Yep. Okay, so the annual meeting minutes of the Townsend Historical Society from November 10th, 2019. 25 members were in attendance. A quorum for the meeting was achieved. The meeting was called to order by President Ryan D. Hayward at 2:05 p.m. He made brief remarks, welcoming everyone, and then summarizing all the exciting activities the Society had accomplished since last year. The meeting then proceeded with reports. Elizabeth Anker, acting secretary, read the minutes of the previous annual meeting. The minutes were accepted as read, seconded, and unanimously approved. Tabor Morell, the site administrator, provided a greatest hits summary of his many projects. This short summary concisely detailed the many amenities that the Society provides for patrons, both locally and abroad. The treasurer, Shannon Murphy, read her report. The Society was in a sound financial position again for this year. We established a $34,000 budget and largely stuck within the parameters set. The report was accepted, seconded, and unanimously approved. There was a brief presentation from the Collections Committee on progress made during the year. Early Reed family pieces were on display at the back of the hall. President Hayward noted that we have new volunteers who are starting to make good progress on artifacts previously entered without information. There was no election of officers. The next election will be 2020. There was no new or old business from the floor. The business meeting was adjourned at 2:25 p.m. John Bell, author of The Road to Concord, brought us back to the early days of colonial Massachusetts and the causes leading up to the American Revolution. This was followed by a book signing and refreshments. Respectfully submitted, Ryan D. Hayward, acting secretary.
Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, I need a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. If you would all say aye by raising your hand, please. Aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, the ayes have it. I think we should roll right into it. Tabor, do you want to go through your brief report?
Sure. Yeah, let's see. I hope you've all been doing well this year. I know we've been a little out of touch compared with our usual course of events, but it's been obviously a challenging year for everybody. And of course, within the museum world as well, and in historic preservation as a whole, I think. Due to regulations and safety measures that were in place throughout 2020, we weren't able to really hold the events that we normally rely on for everything from membership funding to membership building to kind of a sense of community and just for fun too. Like, we really enjoy having our events as well. So it's been in a number of different ways sad for us not to be able to do those with you guys. Everything from the potluck in the spring to the arts and crafts fair, we've sort of had to miss out on, or at least to figure out other ways to do those things. Compounding this, back in the spring, a lot of the grants that we normally are able to rely on for funding shifted their goals to ones directly related to coronavirus, which meant that things like museums and nonprofits were not always able to get the same funding that we're used to receiving for a year, unfortunately. So early on in 2020, we had to sort of redesign how the Historical Society was going to function, and we had to reimagine our staff and volunteer schedule. We had to have minimal overlap in the office with all the new state guidelines and everything. We had to develop cleaning regimens, and we had to schedule appointments for people who wanted to come in for research or for tours or anything like that. So it really was a whole new landscape, I think, for all of us. The THS team here, though, worked really well together. We came up with great ideas for how we'd be able to continue providing even maybe different styles of events. But we've reimagined them into ones that have been fortunately very successful. We've been able to do online events with a web-based open house back in the summer. We had an online antique appraisal with our friend Wayne Twiskula from Central Mass Antiques recently. Central Mass Auctions, excuse me. We hosted a Zoom discussion about the history of tourism in our region that went really well. It was called Leisurely New England back in August. Lee McTighe here, who's with us today, was brave enough recently to try to continue her annual fall cemetery tours, and we really appreciated that. I know all of our presenters, in addition to our volunteers, are having to learn all these new forms of technology just to communicate with each other. And it's so, in addition to being brave enough to put on a presentation, it's also all these other hurdles of like having to use Zoom, having to use Facebook Live, having to know how to get your computer to work half right half the time. So we really appreciate it a lot. And those of you who follow us on social media, nowadays we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, or we just actually created a brand new YouTube channel that we're going to be filling up soon. You may have seen my fiance Ani and myself doing some old historical recipes. We like to dig into old cookbooks from the 18th and 19th century and try our hand at some of those, and it usually has funny results and sometimes successful results, so it's pretty good. And we appreciate all of your kind feedback about those. And of course, today's presentation with Dee Morris coming up about the Zodiac and some historical figures from Townsend. In the spring, just as lockdown began, there was obviously a lot of uncertainty in the world at large and also in the community of historic preservation. We were able to apply for what was called the CARES Act grant. It was the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security grant. And we were fortunate to receive the maximum amount of funding that a nonprofit of our size could receive. So we were very appreciative because that it allowed us to sort of bridge the gap and continue some level of operations and to stay engaged, at least on some level, with our membership, which we really appreciated a lot. Speaking of grants, we're just in the middle right now of applying to one through the Townsend Cultural Council that will hopefully allow us to continue, I think, doing even a better job of getting our events online and to a larger audience. It's to sort of improve our audio-visual equipment, because for this year we've been limping along with like our laptop cameras and like our iPhone cameras, and and like our personal Zoom accounts and things like that. But I think with even a little boost in our equipment, we'd be able to do a much better job of having maybe more clear and more smooth events like this. And we realized too that not only would that be great for this year where we're not able to gather in person, but going forward, I think it would be a great alternative to have in-person events, but also to be able to offer them online, because we've had such great success with things like our Facebook videos or putting things up on Instagram. We get hundreds and hundreds of people who get to view these things who otherwise would never have even had the chance, which is really neat. So I think we're going to try to at least have that as an option going forward. So that might be neat. And that's a good way, I think, not only to have membership more involved, but even to build membership, because we have people all across the United States who've been able to view some of our events this year who are excited about Townsend now after never having heard about it before. So that's pretty neat. Another uniquely 2020 trend that we've noticed with so many people at home or working from home, we've been busier than ever on our end of things, helping them with like genealogical inquiries or with house history requests and things like that. I've been probably 3 times as busy with those this year than ever before. It's just people, I think they've been so appreciative as well of all of our resources that we've got in the vault and in our records, and just our research and our time as well. So we've got a lot of good feedback about our help with that. Let's see. Oh, we had a great project recently. We collaborated with the Boy Scouts in town and also with the Highway Department in clearing the old schoolhouse monument. It's up on Old Meeting House Road. The schoolhouse there was built in 1746, so Townsend had a pretty good head start on education. And it turned into an impressive joint effort between all 3 of these groups, us and the Boy Scouts and the Highway Department, because we were able to work together to come up with a safe way to all complete this project that benefits and honors Townsend's heritage. So that was pretty neat to be able to get that done in such a strange year. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to Cobblestone Quilts and to Maureen and Dana Blanchard they just had a project these past couple of days called Quilts in the Harbor that raised a lot of money. They were kind enough to donate to the society and even to match that donation as well. So we really appreciate that this year when we are kind of having a strange time with finances, as you would imagine. We're very grateful to you guys, not only for your time, but for your kindness as well. Thank you so much. And thank you to our volunteers. Oh yeah, thanks. Thank you to our volunteers and to our presenters for finding creative ways to continue helping to preserve and to celebrate Townsend's history. And an enormous thank you to all of our members for being with us and sticking with us through this year, and for your gratefully appreciated support through all of it. We're very much looking forward to being able to see you in person again, hopefully soon. Thank you guys very much. And I'll do it for the site administrator report.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Dana, you're up next with the treasurer's report.
Okay, mine's not going to be as long.
Yeah, thank God. Sorry about that.
Again, we're in a financially stable year. Overall, our bank checking and savings is up about $7,400 over last year, with a total of $19,106. That's our working capital, so we are in a stable position. We did get some grant money that brought us up a little bit. In our Fidelity investments, it's been a terrible year for the market. We started out at 351, and we've ended up at 317,000 and some dollars after that. Overall, we lost $34,173, but of that, $28,440 was taken out, $7,000 for working capital, and another $21,000 for a payoff of a loan that we had, that the THS had. And being new to the Treasury, I don't remember what the loan was for to begin with, but that doesn't matter. But it's paid off. We're not bleeding money out to pay an interest on that every month. So overall, taking that out of the equation, the market fluctuations and everything, we only lost about $5,700 for the year. So it's not as bad as it looks. Overall, membership is down about $1,000 this year. Granted, we still have a couple months left. I don't have the numbers from last year at this time. I just have the end of the year. Our donations obviously are down too. But we'll hopefully find some new ways of making new donations. We could try to get another appeal going out of some sort. We did get the appraisal money that came in. Grant money, we do have a positive increase in grant money this year over last year. Now, I don't know if that's a bookkeeping differential or what compared to last year's bookkeeping. And other than that, the only other thing is the fundraising. Obviously, without the arts and crafts, we're down about the value that we brought in for the arts and crafts show, about $6,000. So that's hurts. We need to come up with some more interesting ways of making money. As you said, Tava, the quilts in the harbor worked out very well. Maureen and I set it up with reservations, and each group of people, we assumed they knew each other, came in as a group and were able to spend an hour looking at the quilts and made their way out, and it worked out quite well. She did have $305, 61 people came through. So that's $305 there, and she was going to match up to 500, so she donated the 500 on top of the 305. So there's a check waiting to be deposited down there for 805.
I'll take care of the deposit tomorrow.
Awesome. All right. I think that's about it on the treasurer's report.
I have a question.
Yes.
We took money from Fidelity and put it into our working capital, correct?
$7,000 at the beginning of the year.
Okay, so if you compare that to what our working capital was the year before, do we have that number? Do we know what our working capital was at the end of the year last year?
Yes, last year at the end of the year it was 11,638. At the end of this year, it's 19,016. So
But
yeah, we're up $7,468.
Okay, did we take, I don't recall, did we take any money out of Fidelity and add it to our working capital in the prior year?
I don't know.
Okay, because that's really the true number of comparison on where our working capital is. We may have done, the Fidelity investment into that account may have been something that wasn't done in the previous year.
No, I believe we did take $7,000 out at the beginning of January in order to cover our insurance expense, and it got distributed over 12 months, but we did take that out of the investment, so that so we're on a similar playing field. I mean, maybe we have a little bit more working capital if we don't factor in the $7,000 that we pulled from the investments for the insurance money. As of right now, in theory, there's enough money to cover that, so we wouldn't have to pull that money. But I think we should discuss that at the December board meeting.
Okay, and that absolutely answers my question. So that means that we pulled money both years, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
We have to pull every year.
Yeah, we definitely have pulled that money every year to cover that expense, and that usually is the only thing that we used to pull from the Fidelity, if I recall, during my time on the board. So I think that's been a good use of that money to cover that necessary expense. And just for the benefit of everybody listening, the loan is the last remnants of the line of credit that was taken for the restoration of the grist mill. I think we spent something like $300,000 on the project overall, and we've been steadily paying it down. I know Shannon was quite diligent on making sure that we paid down the principal balance on it, and the bank has been pushing us really hard. So we just decided that it was in our interest to pay off the balance and not continue to eat the $30 or so a month in interest.
$80 a month.
Well, 80. Oh, right, because they pushed it up quite a bit. So.
Oh yeah, they doubled it. So
Used to be $120 a month.
Yeah, it was last year. It was 120.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over 100 and something.
On the financial report.
Yeah, I think that does it for the treasurer's report. If there's any other questions, then I say I'm done.
Okay, seeing and hearing none, I need a motion to accept the financial report.
I make a motion to accept the financial report as read.
I second it.
Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. For the slate of officers, which is the next order of business, I am just going to read off what I have at this current time, and then we can tentatively approve it pending confirmation by the membership. I have for president, myself, Ryan D. Hayward, vice president, Kara Fossey, Dana Blanchard as treasurer, Sharon Lacasse as assistant treasurer, and then directors at large, I have Jan Johnson, Sandy Tuttle, Claire Caupi, Shannon Murphy, Kathy Spofford. And then, of course, we have under life directors, Mary West. Any revisions, changes, questions to that slate?
Do you have a full slate?
I do not have a full slate. There are 2 vacancies. So Jean Rauhala and Dwight Fitch have indicated to me that they're going to step down at the end of their terms this year. And I'd like to just acknowledge that they're more than 10 years of service to this board. And thank you guys for your long-term commitment to the society.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. They've
I
been
just want to know if you'll still do the
helpful.
arts and crafts fair the next time we have it.
Sorry, I missed that comment.
Just want to make sure that they're still on board to help with the arts and crafts fair.
I hope so.
I speak for myself. I plan to continue to help out whenever possible, or, anytime anybody, at least give me a chance to refuse anyways.
I will be also.
Thank you.
Awesome. I would like to think that I might be able to call on Dwight's expertise too for genealogy from time to time, and the school programs maybe if he's still interested. Thanks, Dwight. Yeah, so there's 2 vacancies on the board. So if anybody has any suggestions for people that I might want to reach out to, I'm happy to take them so that we can fill those and get some new blood on the board.
Well, I suggest when you put this out to the membership at large, that you make that recommendation that if they know of anybody, that they contact you with their names.
Okay, excellent. I can do that.
And it worked for the treasurer putting it out on Facebook. You got me.
That's right, yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Definitely good.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, seeing and hearing no revisions, but acknowledging the request to send out as information to social media and to the membership, letting them know that we're taking recommendations for vacancies. I need a motion to tentatively approve this slate of officers contingent on confirmation by the membership via mail up to the December meeting.
I make a motion to accept the slate of board members as read.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. I think that's it for the order of business. I don't have anything else. Is there any new business from the floor?
Guys, I have a really good idea for fundraising. And I saw this on social media.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, there's a small town out in the Midwest. What they do is every 4 years, they elect a mayor. This is the Historical Society. They elect a mayor every 4 years and do a fundraising for their Historical Society. However, the mayor that they're electing is a dog. So I'm thinking we could do the same thing here, but instead of waiting every 4 years, we could elect an official dog mayor every year. It's an idea. Mull it over, let me know what you think.
I'm not getting the concept.
It's
Yeah, I
just
need a
something we can do. to raise money. They have the dog as the official sort of mayor of the town. I guess he goes around, you know, I'm not sure exactly what they do or how the dog does, but they're there for 4 years. Every 4 years they do it. And it raises money. And I guess it raises a pretty good amount of money. I think one year they said they raised over $1,000. So it's
I think
bad, considering.
It's
Well,
it's a different concept. I don't know how the dog raises money though, unless it's just a donation.
Well, what you do is you have people with their dogs run for mayor, and then whoever gets the most campaign money wins.
I see.
The campaign. I mean, we'd have to figure out the details, and maybe I could find out from this historical society how they do it, but I can figure it out.
What about the llama?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we have Mitzi Roy and the llama as our semi-official mascot, I guess I would say. She renews for him every year, so maybe we could find a way to incorporate more than just our canine companions. That we do have many farms in town. So, but yeah, I would reach out to the Historical Society and see what they do, and then maybe develop a concept and bring it to the table in December. There's no reason why we can't entertain them. Any other items from the floor? No, seeing and hearing none. I need a motion to close the meeting and then move forward with our presentation.
I move to dissolve the meeting.
I second.
Go ahead.
When is our next one?
Sorry,
I think December 16th.
I think it's December 16th.
December 16th?
Yeah, it's December 16th to move it because we don't normally meet at the end of the month.
I'd just like to say something in that this is our annual meeting and sort of, you know, the wrap up for the year. I'd like to thank Kara for her calm voice. We've had some little tiffs in our meetings, and we've had a couple of little storms. And I think it's just amazing and wonderful that she has spoken up sometimes right at the perfect moment to just have everybody breathe. So you must be a great mom, and thanks for being our mom too. We really, I think it's very.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. That's very kind. Thank you.
Claire, did you have anything to add? I saw your hand raised. I just want to make sure before I put it down.
My hand was raised for the vote, but I guess I'm too slow.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that. All right, perfect. All right, motion's been made and seconded to dissolve the meeting. All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are all set. Meeting's dissolved. All right, so I'm going to turn it over now to my good friend, Dee Morris, who I have been working with for a number of years. She is going to give a great presentation on the power of the Zodiac. I'm sure that we're all going to learn some new and exciting things about Townsend history. So I hope that you guys stay put and enjoy the show. Share my screen. Sure that works before I sign off. Everybody can see the screen, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, you got it.
Perfect.
Got it.
All right. Turn it over.
Just to clarify for me.
Yep.
This is to go forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And I shall be right here.
Okay. That sun won't be coming in the window.
It will.
Oh, thanks.
There we go.
Oh, so much better. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So I begin now or whatever.
Yep.
Good afternoon and welcome to the program, The Power of the Zodiac, with a very important question mark. Some historic Townsend people and their signs. The whole concept of the Zodiac, with its 12 houses corresponding to pretty much 12 months of the year, has been in play and getting the attention of human beings since at least 400 BC, when the Babylonians sort of came up with many of these ideas of houses. What were ancient people looking for? In many ways, they were looking for the same thing we are looking for: order, making sense out of the heavens, making sense out of the earth, making sense out of the fact that there are many people with many different personalities, and yet there seem to be some common traits that they share. The 12 signs. In the Zodiac, the year begins with Aries, the ram, and you can see how it, going through all of the months of the year, you have a specific name assigned: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc. I found it very interesting when I was doing this in Medford on the Zodiac. A lot of people poo-pooed it, of course, which I understand, and I have no problem with that. And then I would ask each person, what's your sign? That used to be a great pickup line. But what's your sign? And there wasn't one person who didn't know his or her sign. Even for someone who said, I don't know anything about this. I said, do you know your sign? No, not at all. I said, a hint, give me a hint. Oh, said he, and he pulled back an invisible bow and arrow. I said, Sagittarius. Oh, yeah, that's right, but I don't believe it. Okay. People get very much attracted to the Zodiac. And I find, well, especially in studying somebody whose information is just slim or none, it can be very dry. So sometimes what I do is, if I can find the birthday of that person, I look up the sign and say, okay, at least I've got some traces that I can follow of their character. Maybe yes, maybe no, but it's something. Because as you know, many people hate history because they feel it's just one damn recital of fact after fact after fact, and it's deadly dull. So here we are in Townsend. It's beautiful. I've enjoyed coming there. It's a picturesque town, very different in size from Medford, where I live. So it's just got so many wonderful qualities. As I was just casting about, I thought, I wonder if the Zodiac has made any impact here. Yes, it has. Timberley Park, a development that came about in the 1970s. And what's so Zodiac-ish about it? The street names: Aquarius, Aries, Capricorn, Gemini, Libra, Pisces, and on. Except for two, and Leo being one of those. I guess Leo Lane seemed a bit tacky, so nobody used it. But I would love to know who was the person behind the names here. I found it very interesting. That's somebody. Aries, the first sign, the sign of the ram. Often people will say Aries is an initiator, somebody who begins things, has a desire to lead. March 21st to April 20th. Some of the qualities: brave, tenacious, energetic, and sometimes just plain old blind optimism. Now, will these qualities show up in other signs? Of course they will. But it's sort of convenient, if nothing else, to say, okay, let me test an Aries personality with these qualifications. George E. Clark, a musician, Civil War bugler and drummer, and his diary is at the Society. He was born April 6, 1845, and he passed in 1924. One thing when I started embarking on this in different places, it's really easy to find out somebody's death date. Often it's next to impossible to find out their birthday, because that's our emphasis. Online, there's a great website, sunsigns.org, where there's this wonderful type of intimate but not too extravagant detailing. For someone born on April 6th, like George Clark, he would have been innovative, analytical, a leader, emotional, on and on. And this from another website about Aries. This is a quote: "Performance is where the fun is at for Aries. Full of youthful strength and energy, regardless of your age. Your performances are vibrant, energetic, and always changing. You like to move powerfully with the music." And yes, Mr. Clark, who was in the Civil War and a bugler and drummer, then afterwards played with the Townsend band and then eventually became its director. So Aries, the musician, and George Clark are spot on. Here's a picture, you've probably seen it, 25 South Street. George is the person holding the horse, and then at the extreme right is Ella, his wife. Ella was also in the same sign. She's March 22nd, 1851, and she passed in 1920. And she was, by her horoscope, she was intuitive and vibrant. Here's that circle again, it's great. Optimistic, hyperactive. Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of Aries that I know of. Oh, you can't tie them down. Joyful and intuitive. Their partnership. What about an Aries marrying another Aries? And look what I got off a website. It's a fabulous combination, as well as a wonderful match. It's superb. Since the zodiac sign of Aries is the cardinal fire sign, when you put two people together in the zodiac, this will be nothing less than fireworks for the couple. So I found also, as I was looking at Townsend personalities, some people, depending on their sign, tended to marry people of the other, either directly across the horoscope or within their own sign. And George and Ella's monuments are in the cemetery in Townsend. Very similar. Another Aries, you've seen her before, I'm sure, Letty Reed. She's April 4th. And just in glancing at her picture, I didn't know the woman personally, I find that, oh, wow, look at that direct gaze. I bet she could be obstinate like a ram or power through like a ram. Here's her home, which is, of course, very familiar to you. And her traits: competitive, sensible, natural, cranky, okay, and encouraging. Also, Aries people are very prone to keeping what they would call important papers, any documentation about their family. Oh no, don't throw that out. No, I need that. And there's nothing like having this duplicated in the Reed family too, with all their accumulation suitcases full of personal papers. What did Letty do? She was a matriarch, 5 children, one dying fairly early on, and managing the household, of course, would require tremendous tact and foresight. So being highly imaginative, yet soft-spoken, very direct, very honest. And so she fulfills the personality description of an Aries. And as you know, the Townsend Historical Society is in her home. So you have do you ever feel that there's a force in your orders, driving you to go on, keep doing things. And I couldn't help but chuckle as I was listening to your meeting. Oh, well, this has happened and that has happened. And then over here, something is that. There's the Letty Reed influence. What I loved when looking up her birthday of April 4th, the most sensible Aries in the whole sign. So she wins hands down for being incredibly practical and forceful, yet done in a very soft-spoken manner. Taurus, the bull, April 21st to May 20th. Taurus is an earth sign. By the way, there are 4 elements in the whole zodiac: fire, earth, air, and water, because the ancients believed that these different signs, as well as the houses of the zodiac, would impact people. To someone who is a Taurus, place rooted on the ground is very important to them. And Tauruses have often been called the protectors. Taurus Lane over in Timberley Park, notice it's sort of, I don't believe anybody was reading a Zodiac handbook when this little circle was designed, but it certainly goes along with the sign of being a protector and being careful and being rooted. Rufus Porter. He was not a Townsend native, but he certainly left an impact on the town. He was born May 1st, 1792. He was an artist, as you know, an inventor, and a journalist. He's the painter of the Reed Homestead mural, so you've seen his work. And this is often showing up in pages about him. His genius was rooted in the earth. No fire sign here. How did he fare in life? First, he started out by being an apprentice to a shoemaker. Oh, no, not going to work. Then he played the fife and fiddle. Better. During the War of 1812, he painted drums. And then, which was so like him in Taurus, he tapped into the craze for murals and portraits. For someone born like him on May 1st, independent, adventuresome, passionate, humorous, stable. Oh yeah. Taurus bull, very stable, yet confident. He came up with this book in 1826. Taurus people also like to convey knowledge. And here he put together tips and tricks and interesting experiments for how to do some of the stuff he was really good at. He had a sort of a how-to on how you could do portraits. So even if you weren't overly talented, you could do portraits and they would come out okay. And of course, the murals in your society are his handiwork. And you'll see he has a great love of the earth in doing them. And what would seem, and it's not odd, but it flows with this type of personality. He was the person who put out the Scientific American for a few years. So he was as artistic as could be, but there was also this wonderfully practical side to it. People under the sign of the bull, what are they like? They're often restless. They like bringing out the talents of others, but they are always aware of getting paid and money. I found a wonderful little handout sheet that he passed out to prospective customers, where he said that he would be happy to do a portrait, and he could do it very fast and very economically and quickly. And it would be $2. And he would be taking a room at such and such a tavern for a few days. And so please drop by. And then, just like a Taurus, he puts at the end of his whole comment here, no pay. You don't want to trail off on me. I need to get paid or you don't get the likeness. So the Taurus people, well, they're not money grubbing, not at all, but they want things to be fair. They want to get paid and they want to have others get paid. Another person under the Taurus sign is Real Hobart, a tavern keeper. He's May 4th. And this sounds like the ideal tavern keeper. Receptive, warm-hearted, diligent, caring, honest, trusting. And he worked at the Hobart House and Tavern. I can see how someone under this sign could be a very effective tavern keeper. He would make sure you paid. He would be charming, no nonsense, and he would be gracious the whole time. He would be telling you as to how things were going to go. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th, the sign of the twins. Interestingly enough, when I was looking up different zodiac signs, I wanted to know, I'd like to look at Donald Trump. When was he born? And the answer is he was born in June. And guess what? Mike Pence, his vice president, was also born in June, a week apart from Donald Trump. Different years, but how interesting that we have this sign of the twins with our two current head politicians being of the same sign. The communicator. With Gemini people, there is the natural ability to adapt. The Geminis I have known, they love words, not the meaning so much, but the sheer sound. Not to say anything against Mr. Trump, but that is the quality that does seem to appear. And they have the capacity to reinvent themselves. They're non-linear thinkers. Does everything have to be in order? Does everything have to work just the way? Oh, no, not like Rufus Porter, but they can go off on tangents if need be. Gemini Lane in the Timberley Park. Now, interesting, Elsa Williams, who I know you know, she's sort of in between. Mike Pence is June 4th. Then there's Elsa Williams, and then the president, who I believe is June 14th. This just shows you that certainly the same quality can get very differently interpreted in different people. What was she noted for? Being a needle crafter. She had the joy of stitching, and which is very important in this site, they don't want to be bored. They love the unusual. They seek it out. Where some other signs would be just content to sit there and let the day go by if need be. Oh no, no, no. A Gemini can get very, very restless, is very open often to change, and just has to have things in his or her mind of quality around them. Here are the traits. Considerate, determined, understanding, sympathetic. I love the word determined, because that does underscore the Gemini personality. Elsa was dedicated to preserving traditional ways. She was tireless in going back and finding how things were created, traditional designs. She wanted everything to be completely authentic. She wasn't just picky, she wanted to be accurate. Here's an example of her work. And she went so far as to establish the School of Needlework. A Gemini, School of Needle. Yep, that makes sense. For people who really enjoy the authenticity of something, having a school devoted to a craft makes absolute sense. And he lived in this wonderful house, again, going back in time to appreciate what has come before. Geminis really enjoy that. They don't get bored with history. What distinguished Elsa, it seems, and I read about her in several newspapers and magazine articles, she had an unwavering passion for the authentic. She's buried out in Fitchburg. When I went to look up her stone, I was disappointed. I was convinced there'd be a needlework pattern or something on the face of the stone because I thought, oh, she was so keen on that. But here she is with her own family down the bottom here, 1912, 1995. And no comment or description of her zest for the authentic. She was a wonderful Gemini. Another Gemini, Major Jonathan Hubbard Jr. He goes way back, 1683, June 18th. He was born in Concord, and he was zealous, again, about accuracy and doing it the right way. His traits, he could maintain his emotional stability, and that is a quality that Geminis often either display or at least want to have. People could trust him. So look at the offices that he held: town treasurer, selectman, and deacon. Salt of the earth. Oh, he's earth sign, huh? Salt of the earth. And he is in the old burying ground. I had a little bit more satisfaction with the character of his stone. Unlike Elsa's, there he is. This is one of the most beautiful stones with a flying figure and announcing redemption. And his wife, March 5th, 1684. Two of the most beautiful stones in that cemetery. Cancer. Unfortunately, of course, today, the sign of the crab, the statement of cancer, is not your first thought of zodiac. It's of that horrific disease. But looking back in ancient times, this would have been a very powerful house, June 21st to July 22nd. National love of heritage. There is a feeling of destiny. Emotion is important, and genuine interest in others. Now, if you think so far that several of these signs share somewhat similar traits, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. It is interesting, though, that each sign, because it is operating under the influence of a constellation, does have different interpretations of maybe even the same quality. Cancer people are self-starters. Here you have the ultimate in being a self-starter. Eunice Flock, July 19th, 1763 to 1846. She was a woman who was compelled to do the right thing, or at least how she interpreted the right thing. This is a bit about her story. She's courageous, generous, intuitive, considerate, but subliminally a self-starter. I'm going to make this thing right. Her brother was going to fight in the Revolutionary War, and his family was concerned that he didn't have the right number of outfits or changes of weather, etc. He was okay for summer, but what about the winter? Oh, said Eunice, I'll fix that. They had sheep. She said, let me get the shears Let me collect some wool. She then spun the wool. This is all within a 48-hour period. Talk about starting from scratch. She went on then to weave cloth, to cut out a pattern, and in 48 hours, she had produced from back of the sheep to a full set of clothes for her brother. Now, I'm telling you, I've never seen a self-starter like that before. And this a Star Trek sort of option here. Failure was not an option. And that's what a Gemini is going to tell you. And in fact, we're sort of living through that today with Mr. Trump. Failure is not an option. Another Gemini, Levi Warren. His stone is simple and direct, but powerful. He was the initiator of the Townsend Female Seminary. Often Geminis, I found this with friends, they get going on something and they will not rest until it is complete. And their love of words is often very engaging. They just love the sounds. It's like music. People of this sign, and especially Mr. Warren, are imaginative, proactive, and have the intelligence and knowledge of converting opportunities into realities. It's not enough for a Gemini person, or excuse me, a Cancer person, to simply say, gee, I'd love to do this someday. No. If they set their mind to it, it's going to happen one way or another. Leos, the lions, generous, warm-hearted, creative, and enthusiastic, broad-minded, and expansive, taking after the king of beasts. This is July 23rd to August 22nd. And it's been said about Leos, no matter what storm a Leo goes through, they will always stand strong. There is no going away from what you want to achieve. Oliver Reed, the husband of Letty, July 25th. He was the patriarch of the Reed family, an extremely successful tanner, very warm, very gracious, was very socially inclined. He's skilled, responsible, and focused. For a Leo, often things that they do, there's an equal sign between themselves and their achievements. My achievements represent me. And so they very unhesitatingly are forceful. The homestead now, the home of the Townsend Historical Society, is of course where this Oliver and his wife Letty lived. People of this sign, and Oliver in particular, they have a somewhat mysterious quality. Leos love being the center of attention. They're often found in the entertainment professions. Yet he was highly social, but there was that part of him, because each Leo is different, just as each Cancer, each Aquarian, each Taurus. They're being highly social, yet they want to work alone. And Oliver portrayed that. There were comments a lot about, don't bother him while he's at work. And yet he would come out of his working mode and be the most gracious person you'd ever want to meet, the life of the party. But when he's working, you don't tread on his time. Now, Letty, she's the sign of Aries. So two fire signs together here. She wanted their marriage to succeed. And two fire signs working together. Oh yeah, that's entirely possible. She respected her husband's independence. She would never crowd him. And that's probably why their marriage was so successful. His monument is beautifully carved, but it's not ostentatious. Leos want quality. They don't want frills. They're leaders. They may be the center of attention, but everything has to have quality. Another Leo, Lieutenant Benjamin Spaulding of the famous Spaulding family. And I found this comment several times about him. He was successful in school teaching. Leos love to teach, one way or another. They often, as you know, get into entertainment or anything that is of a public nature where they can bring knowledge to others. He was the first person in town to own a four-wheel carriage. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
When Leos do something first, it's not meant to be showy. It is meant a bit to be noticed, but that's who they are. They're eager to lead. For August 14th and Lieutenant Spaulding, motivated, inspirational, irresistible. You get it. And during the Revolutionary War, he was tireless. If Leos become convinced of a cause, they're unstoppable. They will forge ahead. They will be part of the entire scene for as long as it lasts. His wife's stone is really quite beautiful also. Lovely hand carving. Very graceful. She, look at this. He's a Leo, she's the Leo. So again, two parties in a marriage of the same sign. For July 27th people, their traits, they're great to get along with everyone. They often can be highly creative and charming, persuasive, open-minded. This is not like Rufus Porter. The Leos take charge in a very different way. Through charm, but you don't mess with them. Her qualities. I bet she was beautiful. I've never seen a picture of her one way or another, but according to at least this accumulation of her traits, she was very attractive. And their son, David. Oh my. The same birthday as his mom. So here you have, under one roof, three Leos. I bet sparks could fly there. In short, this little Spaulding family was a pride of Lyons. Benjamin, August 14th, his wife, July 27th, and one of their sons. The ongoing family, the other children were not Leos, but I couldn't resist putting these three together. The next sign of Virgo. Just to want to break into something here. You may have heard of someone being on the cusp. What does that mean? It's simple. Often, if someone is born towards the end of a particular house, they then share some of the qualities, it would seem, of the house coming after their birth sign. I can say that's absolutely true in my case. I'm a Leo and proud of it. I like not to be in the limelight for being in the limelight. No, being in charge of a program so I can bring information, knowledge, or even just entertainment to others. That's very important to me. I've always enjoyed doing that, even as a kid. Now, I'm a cusp person in that I'm August 21st, which is just about the end of the Leo sign. So I share some of the Virgo traits. I'm so grateful. The Leo in me, okay, let's do it. Let's get ahead. Let's put on the show. And the Virgo says, wait a minute. Don't be so spontaneous. Don't be so getting out there to do something. Make sure you've got the details nailed down. Virgos, August 23rd to September 22nd, they're often reformers. They're driven by natural curiosity. Now they, just like Gemini, love words. Gemini is particularly attracted to the sheer sound of the words, like a waterfall of words will come out of them. Or when they're reciting poetry, isn't this great? Listen to how the sounds work together. The love of words for a Virgo is somewhat different. A Virgo wants to get to the meaning behind the word. Often Virgos are very fussy about words. Well, no, what you've written there, that's nice, but it doesn't really convey the meaning that it should. Virgo Lane in Timberlake. A preeminent Virgo in Townsend was Walter Fessenden, the family that did barrel making. He's September 20th, 1813 to 1884. Straightforwardness, oh boy, that's often with Virgos. They're very real, they're practical. You bet, they're earth signs. I worked for a Virgo boss. We made a pretty good team. I did the Leo part. I love to do shop windows. I love to do displays. I love to present stuff. And she was the very practical partner for me in that she would say, no, you can't put that into the display. We only have that one piece. That's not practical. Put in the display something that we have multiples of, or something that would be good for conveying the meaning of what you're doing. She never wanted me to just sell something out of the window and have nothing to replace it. Oh, her Virgo temperament would just recoil at that. Whereas me, a Leo, oh, that's okay. I'll just quickly put something else here, display something different, make it good. Oh, she said, no, we've got to finish what we're doing. True Virgo. Virgos often take pride in doing everything well, and they really do. They're amazing. There's no off-the-cuff stuff with these people. One problem that they can have is admitting they've made a mistake. That's a rough call for them. It's not that they're so filled with pride. It's just they want to do everything so well. And making a mistake, they're not proud about it. But could we not mention that? Let's concentrate on the things that went okay. Walter Fessenden, oh yeah, talk about grounded in the earth. His family business of the cooperage. He was bank president, postmaster, and he served a term in the Senate. Someone like Walter Fessenden wanted to be trustworthy, and he was. He was exceptionally trusted by the town. Otherwise, look at those positions. Those are crucial in a town. If you get an intelligent Virgo who's doing these positions, you've got gold. Here's his monument. Solid, tasteful, not to be messed with. And then down the bottom, the 1884, his death year. Very, very Virgo. Balanced, loving this sense of harmony. Yet, to show, they're just not proud people. They want things completed, though. Here's his little monument with his birthday, his death date, and a simple name on the top. Okay, Libra. Not an animal, obviously, but the scales, the balancing people. September 23rd to October 22nd in the heart of fall. Libra Lane in Timberley Park. They're peacemakers. They're an air sign, meaning they're not stormy air. They're calm, wonderful, soothing air. And they balance and they balance and they balance. The husband of my boss, she's a Virgo. He was a Libra. That was a very interesting study. She would make sure everything was just so, was of quality, and he was always balancing things. It was tough sometimes for him to make up his mind. Well, on the other hand, did you look at this? And I could always rely on him when he would come into the shop. He would want to see, you've got way too much of a concentration over on that left-hand side. You need to balance it on the right hand. And I had to laugh. Typical Libra. Nahum Gardner has it. This amazing man was a Libra through and through. Fortunately, he was a Libra because he fell upon really tough times. He was a free black, born a free black, and a free black family living in Townsend. And fortunately, a great part of his personality was affectionate, optimistic, energetic. Being optimistic saved him. What happened with him, his mother was approached by a couple of men who asked if Nahum could join them because they were going on a cattle drive to the south. And he would be so good because he could balance things wonderfully and keep everything in check and rolling along smoothly. And she said yes. Now, this is prior to the Civil War. When they got down south, he was arrested. He's black. People were convinced he was a slave. So they threw him in jail. Awful. And even with protests that he was a free black, no, that didn't matter. Word did get out that he was being held. He was branded as a slave, really a very unfortunate choice on the part of his captors. And people, especially one, came down south to declare that this man was a free black. There was no purpose or recognition of slavery in his life. He must be released. What really did it, though, to convince his captors, while he was in prison, he asked to read a book. What? Reading for slaves? No. Two opposite stances. Slaves were not taught to read. Why is this man asking to read a book? Then maybe, said his captors, maybe there is truth to the fact that people from the north coming down here are saying to us that he's a free black because no slave knows how to read. And he, on his part, was incredibly grateful that he was able to read and prove that he was not a slave. In a wonderful write-up in your newsletter, this was how he was described. The cattle drive, okay. Bringing him not to a cattle, but a slave pen. Oh, he was going to be auctioned. His head was shaved and he was branded. The pen keepers were astounded that he could read. When he was released, he was profoundly grateful and joined the 55th Regiment, which was composed of African-American soldiers with white officers, and he served nobly. He was quoted by a grandson as saying, "A book saved my life." Oh, of course, it was the fact that people did go to the South and say that he was a free man and he was released. But what really triggered it for his captors was the fact he could read. And he never forgot that. That was education. He kept telling people and his descendants, education is the key to freedom. Highly confident, flexible, and competitive. Wow. Thank goodness he had that trait of being highly confident, because someone else could easily have been so intimidated, so frightened that they would never have thought to even try something like the ability to read. As a Libra, they may come across as soft, but they are stronger than people think. Oh, yeah. The Libra people I've known, they're not going to shout their way to get something done. They will use finesse. They will use every tool in their box to bring about a desired finale, but it will be done in a gracious manner. Oh, Scorpio, October 24th to November 22nd. Just again, as a slight digression, guess who? Joe Biden is a Scorpio, and his running mate is a Libra. Very different orientation from the two Geminis. The Scorpio is very, not volatile, but can sting, as the sign of the serpent, the scorpion would indicate. Scorpio Lane in Tivoli. What do Scorpios do? They examine every procedure. They want to be organized. They command well. They love discovery. They are a strategist, which I think, from what we've seen over the weekend, fits Joe Biden quite well. The Scorpio in Townsend, a very interesting person, Martha French Homer. Her birthday, November 4th. A very generous woman of privilege. There she is, quite lovely, beautiful. But a woman of privilege who did not have to be charitable, did not have to think of others. She had her own social life. She could have traveled along her own street, her own plane of existence, and never given a thought to anyone less fortunate, but that was not her way. Optimistic, independent, ardent, confident, and an observer. She married Charles Savage Homer Jr., who was so elegant, as you can see from this. And he was the brother of Winslow Homer. So art came very much into Martha's world. True to her sign, she reached out to the community in yearly Christmas parties. She was always one to help out someone, to give them clothing, means of an education, charity work, but not done in a look at me, I'm being gracious. No. Again, from a web page, it would seem that you always have something going on within your life. You have the confidence to just be you. You are not afraid or overly concerned with what people think of you. And that was one reason her charity was so pronounced and so accepted. She just did good. She did not do it for getting praised, or she was not concerned what other people think. And on a larger scale, she is the benefactor who put together the West Townsend Reading Room, where people could come and enjoy books, all the people. She was incredibly gracious, but beyond that, she did good in a very realistic, pragmatic way. Here she is. Here's the face of a socialite. Yet she used her position in the very best way possible. She was a Scorpio and adamant. Here's her stone. It couldn't be simpler. But this is where she's buried, Mount Auburn. She and her particular family, the Homers, were not going to be buried in Townsend. They opted for Mount Auburn, the illustrious Garden Cemetery. Her own family, when she was single, the Abram French family, they're buried in Townsend. Lovely stones, but certainly the concept of being buried at Mount Auburn was not something that would have crossed their minds. Sagittarius, the sign of the archer, November 22nd to December 21st, a fire sign, and eager, not belligerent, but eager to forge ahead, do what is right. And this fire sign is noted for its spontaneity, its immediate answering to something that must be done in a very, not flamboyant so much as eager way. Sagittarius lane. The archer people are often involved in pursuits that satisfy. They want things to happen, but it has to be satisfactory. It touches the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. Often these folks, they're not going to narrow themselves down to one occupation. They'll do anything. They love to brainstorm. They can be very blunt. And I've experienced that because I went to one meeting. Oh, it was amazing. Things were presented, and there was one wonderful woman who kept saying, "Oh, wait a minute. I don't think you've covered that." But and it kept going on and on. Was it annoying? Yeah. But what she did was in our brainstorming session, she brought us to a whole new level. So at the end of the meeting, I said, "By the way, what sign are you?" Oh, she said, "I don't believe in that, Oprah." I said, "Okay. So you don't even know what your sign is?" "Oh, yes, I do. It's Sagittarius." Just goes to show, even when people say we don't believe in anything like this, they are aware of their constellation. What I picked for the Sagittarius Townsend people were three men. This look at November 30th, December 11th, December 16th. Fairly close in age, and all three were warriors. All three spontaneously, eagerly answered the call. So typical of their sign. Amos Mulligan. His stone is simple. It does have the urn and the weeping willow, signifying sorrow. And here's his epitaph in memory of Mr. Amos Milliken, who died 1814 and lived to be of ripe old age, 87.
Hello. Good. I'm at a
Wonderful warrior, intelligent, insightful, flexible, but also excited. And this is a hallmark of these three warriors. He was very active in the French and Indian War. And in his company was the young George Washington. And someone who is a Sagittarius has a great facility often in picking out a role model. And this is who he picked out, was the young Washington. He became almost a disciple. His wife's stone, the same type of etchings of the urn and the weeping willow. Richard Wire, hard to read, a simple stone. He, December 11th, a couple of weeks after our first person. He was born passionate, enthusiastic, loving, and intelligent. His epitaph, very straightforward, as a Sagittarius would be. Next opening grave may be your own. Soon death may call for you. He was very active at the Battle of Bunker Hill. He rushed into the fray there. It was a defeat for our side, but his bravery was never questioned. The third warrior, Ephraim Warren Jr. This stone looks much more to me, of course, it doesn't have that lichen all over it, but look at the oval surrounding his name. It has a certain serenity to it. He listens. God's gracious voice has called me here to rest, not like the previous warrior, where stay alert. This may be you someday. It will be you. But here he is with God's gracious voice, living among the blessed. Logical and friendly, inventive. Oh, his story. One word came through April 19th time. He heard the word that the Minutemen were being called to action. He left his plow in the field and rushed to join. What happened, of course, is because of the travel time necessary to get to Concord and Lexington, by the time he and other Townsend warriors reached there, the battle was over. But that didn't prevent him from going forward in other support of the Union. He is buried in the old burying ground. The Capricorn sign, the goat. One of my best friends is a Capricorn, and we get along quite well. We have compatible strengths. Capricorn Lane. John B. Blood, December 26th. Here's his name, very straightforward. Company B, 53rd Regiment. Being in the service was incredibly important to him. He felt strongly about, of course, about the Union cause. Resourceful, creative, ambitious. And he, through saving his money, put it to his fund, put it towards the erection of the Civil War Monument, which is a hallmark of Townsend. And the plaque on it, this monument, erected in 1932, a year after Mr. Blood died, was under the provision of the will of John Byrne Blood. This would be typical of Capricorn. They always prepare for something. No, they can be spontaneous, absolutely, but it's a measured, spontaneous reaction. It's not just flying to do something. No, he would proceed with caution, but with huge energy. The first person born in Townsend, John Pat, January 5th. And finally, James Hosley, January 19th, 1734. Sacred to his memory in the burial ground here. Intelligent, reliable. Yeah. Capricorns can be self-doubting. I know when I work with this friend of mine who is a Capricorn, I'll be spurring ahead on something, not even thinking maybe of consequences. She will think of those because that's who she is. And then sometimes there'll be that phone call. Do you think we're really prepared? And yes, she has that Capricorn trait, but she's so solid. She's so trustworthy. And she has everything lined up far better than I would have it lined up. Oh, I'll say, you got everything in gear. Let's do the project. And it usually is quite successful. He was town clerk in 1776. He was part of being just a key element of declaring our independence. And that's, oh, Capricorns love that. Being part of something that is very important. They don't have to take any limelight like some other signs, but being part of something important, oh, that's crucial. Oh, here we are, Aquarius. The humanitarian. Do they have things organized the way Capricorn does? No, no. They have their own style, January 20th to February 19th. They analyze everything, you bet. But they also create their own standards. Maybe they're not your standards, but they have their standards, and that's how they're going to operate. They dream of furthering humanity, and not a drawback, but a tendency. They may be so lost in their own thoughts that you have to sometimes tap. Hello, are you there? We've got to go forward on this. Oh yeah, of course we are. We'll go forward. Don't worry about it. And they're still analyzing how they're going to do it. Aquarius Lane. You're one of you first historians here is the Mars Sartell. Oh yeah, he was definitely in the sign of Aquarius. He could be unconventional, but accurate, going to be accurate, independent, and progressive. And his comment, which is a typical comment from somebody who is in this sign. The history of Townsend should have been written long ago. He's not blaming anybody, but he has his standards. And so his book on the history of the town of Townsend is such a godsend. Isn't it remarkable and wonderful that in New England we have many towns and cities where someone seized the moment and wrote a history of a place. His goes up to 1878. We would be lost without them. He could be eloquent. Oh, he talks about an elm tree, how sacred it is. The memory of the good and true is all around it. It will survive storms and winters. Oh, he could get positively poetic about something, especially in nature, such as an elm tree. On the other hand, oh, don't trifle with anyone in the sign of Aquarius who has made up his or her mind. For example, Sartell's view of the Unitarian Church. It was deserted. It was cheerless. The building was seldom entered for any purpose whatsoever. Oh my. Typical of this sign, they wear out. Exhaustion of old age. They keep going, 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 and eventually they wear out. Not a sudden death, usually. His monument is very tasteful, very elegant, done in the style that he approved of. And another one from the Aquarius household, Anselm Fessenden, the barrel making people, February 18th. He was definitely in the Civil War in the 53rd Regiment, and his passion was to keep the memory alive of things from the past. Meticulous, oh yeah. Someone in this sign can drive you crazy with detail, but that's what they do. And they can get stubborn, oh yeah. Well, would you do this? I will say to someone who is an Aquarius, well, I'm not sure I can. or they just don't answer. And that's what you accept. The Midas touch for Townsend, certainly. Anson and his father, Benjamin, as you know, put together the B and AD Fessenden Company, which really brought some fame and definitely fortune to the town, employed a whole lot of people. This was fantastic for the economic growth of Townsend. And he left a trust fund also so that the Memorial Hall could be built. But notice, thinking of the future, but always looking to the past, the Memorial Hall. Heart failure. Oh yes, here we go for the Aquarius. Exhaustion, wearing out. This monument, straightforward, elegant, no unnecessary detail. Now, forming your society, 2 Aquarian men collaborated, February 2nd and February 18th. When you get 2 Aquarian people together, often they are absolutely unstoppable. And this is from this website of tarot.com. Sartell took the lead. He's under the sign of Aquarius. And from your webpage, he wrote a short 2-page letter to Anson D. Fessenden, urging the formation of a new historical organization. So you have 2 people driven because they respect the past so much and the heritage to form an historical society. Aquarius are able to read people well and can see who is real and who is just trying to project an image. We don't want to glorify the past. We don't want to just dress it up and make everyone sound perfect. We want them to be real. And that is a wonderful hallmark of a society. Pisces, the researcher, the 2 fish. I had a relative who was a Pisces. She was always, in some ways, being very mystical. And that's a very natural arena for someone who is a Pisces. There's always the unseen that has to be taken into account. Pisces Lane. Jonathan Danforth, February 29th. The first person to really survey Townsend. Now, the Pisces people, do they do a good job? Of course they do. But what they find incredibly important for themselves and for others is their integrity. And his birthday, February 29th, of course, leap year, those particular people of that particular birthday are often people with unusual talents. They see often the positive side of an issue. And that's very true of anyone in this sign of Aquarius, or, you know, like the age of Aquarius. They find the positive side. Sometimes when it's very hard to do so, but they're the ones who will find something good. Their enthusiasm cannot be questioned. They can be prickly, but their selflessness and their independence hold the day. Danforth, who is something of an unknown figure, he was noted for his eminence in surveying. His plans were numerous. John Farmer, the antiquarian, talked about him briefly. People in this sign definitely want to be perfect as much as possible. Danforth was most renowned for his integrity. And Samuel Whitney the inventor, oh, he has a sad story. He was very capable, incredibly capable. He invented this, a planing machine. But wait a minute, his name isn't there at all. It's Woodworth's patented planing machine. But why isn't his name there? Oh, Pisces can do this. They can procrastinate. And that's what this man did. He procrastinated to the point that someone else stole his invention and had it registered, Mr. Woodworth. Mr. Whitney has a very simple stone. His life was fraught a bit with financial difficulty. Just think, his planing machine was incredibly successful. If he had stopped procrastinating and filed the patent, then some of his money difficulties would have evaporated. He knew that as time went on, and he always regretted that he was never able to go forward with his patent. He had lost control of it. His stone, marble, is quite lovely. He married several times, very successful unions, but there was always that cloud of losing the rights to his patent that just, it hung over him. These signs, what do? Do they control people? Oh, please. To my knowledge, no one who in this collection of personages, I never saw any notation of any of these people following a horoscope, talking about their sign. Well, what's the point then? The point of looking at a zodiac, the 12 houses, the point of looking at this is to get a sense of the human being. What I said at the beginning, oftentimes, if there's little written about someone, they may have been very important or done amazing things, you miss sort of the human quality. So what I found is if I can find the birthday of someone, checking out their sun sign. And there's, oh, so much more. As you know, the internet is just packed with information like moon risings and metals that are of particular value to particular signs, all kinds of complexity. I chanced upon the whole idea of the zodiac one time when I was very young, and I'd gone into Boston, and I saw a sign in a window right near Park Street. It said, tea leaves read. And I thought, now I'm going to find out who I really am. This is great. So I went in, and for $2 at the time, and then some extra money, it was not found out to be, I needed to pay more. I was told that I was a Leo and these were my qualities. I didn't even think, oh, well, there's so many Leos and I don't want to be a carbon copy. I found it to be a very settling experience. I was glad I was a lion. I was glad that I wanted to be forceful. It was a comfort to me. And that this sign of Leo, as with the other signs, had extended through time for generation after generation after generation. And I felt that the signs of the zodiac gave a sense of belonging. It set me in the middle of the human race. And I found that comforting, that I was not just out there with my personality and my zeal for doing this, or just, oh, other Leos before me and other Leos today or then had the same kind of emotions, same kind of traits. That was wonderful. I loved it. Townsend personalities. Look at this array that we have. Somebody for every sign. So many different types. so many fears, but look at all the strengths that showed up. Looking at the sun signs of Townsend people, I found to be a very rewarding experience. What warriors, what clever people. Somebody like Sawtell, who said the past can't be just hidden. We've got to do something about it. And his companion in doing this was someone of his same sign. No wonder they worked so well together. And they were so forceful. The sun signs are a tool. That's it. That's all they are. They can be informative. They can be fun. And even looking at the present day, Scorpio, Joe Biden and Scorpio, and Donald Trump and Gemini. Really a difference in personality. So we knew that already. But then looking at some traits in each sign, this is making even more sense about these two individuals. So, what's your sign? I'd love to know. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Perfect. I don't know if the boss is not sharing.
Oh, so many people.
I didn't know if anyone had any questions. Oh, Tabor, you are there. Okay, good.
Oh, yes. Aren't you an Aquarius? You just said earlier.
I am, yeah. Yep.
And Ryan, what are you?
I believe I'm the same. Tabor, your birthday is only a couple of days before mine, right? February?
Yeah, I'm on the 4th of February, yep.
I'm on the 14th. So we're
So
very
look
close.
at the two men who were instrumental. I couldn't believe that. I didn't make that up. I couldn't, you would have said to me, oh, that's just too cheesy for words. And honestly, I did not know. I knew Ryan, but when I came in now, I said, Tabor, what's your sign? Aquarius. I think there's a trend there. The beginning people, and look, present day, we have two men of the same sign, and it seems to work.
That
What
is interesting.
signs are the other people? Do you know? You must. Lee, what's your sign?
Libra, and the cusp of Scorpio, October 20th.
Okay, I see this. And Laura.
Laura may have to unmute yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Laura, you may have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, this is perfect. What sign
Well,
are you?
anybody who knows me can probably figure it out. I'm a raging Leo.
Thank you.
It shows all over me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's another nickname for Leos, the ringmaster.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I taught for 40 years and my students really enjoyed the performance.
Yes, got it. Okay, who else?
Annie's there.
Annie?
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo, September 19.
Okay, you have a very interesting collection here of several wonderful signs.
Yeah.
Do you like being a Virgo?
I think so. I have no complaints.
Okay. Are you detail oriented?
I think in some ways, yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you like words?
Yes, I would say so.
You like
Do you
poetry?
like them? Who?
Nope, she likes poetry, I said, so that sounds right.
Okay, there you go. Not just for the sound, but particularly for the meaning.
That's true, yes.
That's very prominent in your sign. And is it John?
Yep, John Barrett.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm a Cancer, July 2nd.
Okay. All right. And who haven't we done? Sandy?
Yeah, Sandy's on there. You gotta unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah. Do we?
Nope,
Yep.
get it.
There you go.
There's Sandy.
Aries, April 14th.
Aha. Okay.
And Haley's next. Does
Haley?
Haley unmute herself?
Yeah.
I'm an Aquarius, February 16th.
Okay, so the three of you should get together.
Yeah,
All
there we
right.
go.
Oh, interesting. Well, do you think you all work together well on the society? It would certainly seem so from just listening to the very brief meeting that this one's doing this and that one's doing that. And it's following that ancient appreciation for the zodiac that when you get a collection of people together of different signs, it does work. It does work.
Wait, does this impact any of your genealogical understanding? Did it change the way you look at some people?
I haven't really looked at the signs that much to analyze people,
Sure.
but it could. I'm a Virgo.
I find it, especially as you know, when you're either genealogy or just research about someone, often, unless somebody's incredibly wealthy or very elite or doing something absolutely extraordinary, many times details about a personality just aren't there. I find it then useful just to take a quick glimpse, if I can find the birthday, to see what house they're in and go, okay, maybe this will flesh them out a bit. And because I've found in dealing with school kids in particular, history is so dull. It's just facts. But when you introduce personalities into the equation, as you must know, people find history to be very, very interesting. It's our story. It's the human story.
No, I think that was good.
Thank you.
Thank you guys all for coming. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Dee.
Thank you, Dee.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. All righty. Well,
You have to sign off.
yep. So we'll post this to social media, of course. We'll try to get Russ on it to see if we can get it out and shared with the broader community. And of course, you guys are always welcome to reach out to the board of directors. We're meeting in a little bit less than a month, so and you know we have a few vacancies that we're looking to fill, but you know, so we'll take some recommendations and we'll keep you guys.
Ask them for the sign.
Yeah, yeah. We'll keep you guys informed.
Righty. Good
Thank
job.
you. Thanks.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Care, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye,
Bye, all.
Bye.